Hello, I'm attorney Scott Lesowitz, and I'm filming this at my favorite green screen dance club because we're going to be talking about NBA star Ja Morant. Back in March, the NBA suspended Ja because of this video. Alright, so the most obvious problem with this video is that Ja was not wearing a shirt, and this establishment was a no shoes, no shirt, no service establishment. Oh, and there's also the problem that Ja was, dancing with his gun. So while the NBA suspended Ja for 8 games over this incident, the local authorities chose not to press charges against Ja. I'm assuming that part of that, at least, was because he has a First Amendment defense of some sort, because that dancing was just artistic beauty. It was breathtaking. It frankly almost made me cry. I do want to say here, now remember, I don't give legal advice in any of my videos, including this one. I'm not your attorney. Think of me like Charles Barkley. I'm nobody's role model, okay? But that said, let's say as a friend, don't ever bring a gun to a nightclub. Even if you live in an open carry state, if you pull a gun out in a nightclub, you're likely going to wind up committing some kind of crime. So my friendly advice to you is, if the club that you are going to feels dangerous enough that you think you need to bring a firearm, don't go to that club. Go somewhere else, or just stay home and play Dance Dance Revolution. So after that incident at the club in Colorado, Ja apologized and went into a counseling program. Now, as an aside here, what in the hell do they do in a counseling program for somebody whose problem is that he was dancing with a gun? What counseling do you give somebody to teach them not to dance with a gun at a club? Okay, so apparently everybody in the league, like the commissioner, assumed that this solved the problem. This was everything. He apologized. He went to the counseling for an entire 2 days before he left the program. And so, problem solved. But apparently not. Apparently that 2 days of counseling didn't do its job because, it happened again. So it's hard to see the gun, but he flashed a gun. So I'm not sure which state Ja was in when this most recent video was filmed. If he were in Tennessee, even if he were allowed to have the gun in the car, it must be kept from ordinary observation. The first time that Ja was suspended, it was for 8 games, which is less than 12. So Ja did not have a right to arbitrate the suspension, and plus it was only 8 games. It was probably in his best interest just to kind of sweep it under the rug. So the NBA can suspend someone for doing something that's detrimental to the best interest of the game. And it was under that provision that the NBA suspended Ja for 8 games. But now, he's likely to be suspended for a much longer amount of time. And the question is, well, assuming now he can go to an arbitrator, what would happen? Arbitrators don't always just rubber stamp the suspensions. Like, look at Trevor Bauer. His suspension was reduced when he went to an arbitrator. So one thing that the commissioner has going for him here that will help him do a very lengthy suspension, the commissioner also can suspend somebody for violating a criminal law. Now, having said that, I think it's unlikely Ja will actually be prosecuted in Tennessee. There's the problem of whether it was a real gun. There's also the issue that the video is kind of blurry. It's kind of hard to see exactly what he did with the gun. So I don't think they'd have it beyond a reasonable doubt, but the commissioner is not going to have to prove it beyond a reasonable doubt. And even putting the criminal statute aside, the detrimental conduct clause, that's pretty vague. And I don't know, do we want to hit somebody for something that might not even be a crime if we're assuming the criminal part isn't applicable? The thing here that he was already suspended 8 games for doing almost exactly the same thing. So he was on notice, and of course he should have known that this was going to make the league look really, really bad. Really, really bad. I gotta say though, if Ja is suspended for a very long time, he's gonna have a great career on TikTok with these videos. And the Colorado incident, by the way, for me, probably like many of you, reminded me of Plaxico back in the day, who was convicted and served prison time because he brought a gun into a club. That was different, among many other reasons. His gun went off, he shot himself in the leg. And by the way, one thing I found interesting in looking that back up for this video is that apparently Plaxico was not wearing sweatpants at the time, but apparently that stems from an incorrect story from the New York Post. And since we are talking about guns, I do need to tell you a good story about how a man was robbing a bank, and he turned to one of the customers and he said, "Do you see me robbing a bank?" And he said, "Yes." So the robber shot him. And then the robber looked at a couple who was also at the bank and he said, Do you see me robbing the bank?" And the man answers, "No, I don't see anything, but my wife sure saw you robbing this bank." All right, so that's a good, it's a good couples joke there, right? All right, that's all I got for now on this. In the honor of the late Jerry Springer, take care of yourself and each other.